Welcome to Talking Twaddle, a Better Being Me podcast, the podcast where we unpack the neurodivergent experience, not just in theory, but in all its messy, beautiful, everyday reality. I'm Joanne Hatchard, and I'm here because I believe something important. Your story might feel deeply personal and even isolating, but it's not unique. That might sound strange at first because in the thick of it, when you're feeling like an alien at the window, disconnected from your body, or like you're constantly just one step outside of belonging, it feels so personal, like no one else could possibly understand. But here's the thing, those exact feelings, they're shared over and over again across this beautifully neurodivergent community. So this podcast isn't about highlighting one way to be or do neurodivergence right. It's about making space for all of the common threads in our story, the ones that remind us we're not alone, we're not broken, and we're not doing this by ourselves. This is our journey, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Welcome to the latest episode of Talking Twaddle with Better Being Me. I'm your host, Joanne Hatchard, and today I have the amazing, generous Linja Reid from The Connected Bookkeeper. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Thank you for
I'm
coming.
good. I'm good.
Linja, I met through a women's business program last year.
Yeah, what about, yeah, started last year. It's only been 12
Yeah,
months. Wow, you
yeah.
poor thing.
But within that time, I think your neurodivergent journey has like exponentially, I don't know if growth is the one or like the embracing and the doing the actual things that make life different and better for you and your family has been going along gangbusters. So I thought I would bring you on and have a little chat about your experience and see how your neurodivergent journey started.
Yes, you're not wrong. It has been quite the learning curve especially in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'd say last 12 months I think have been the biggest shift for me and the family. My journey started when, well, like a lot of women, with my son being diagnosed. Yes. So he had we so I've got twins, they're 10, and the first real idea that we had of neurodivergence in the family, it had kind of been they'd been sort of on the peripheral with
Mm,
different people around us. So we were aware of it, but not really, sort of involved, I guess is the word, with it so much, and had the very, very basic, very, very wrong perception of the ADHD stereotypical, boy bouncing off the walls, can't calm down, that sort of thing. So we had a parent teacher interview with my son's teacher when he was in year two, and they had left his desk very specifically set up, and it was chaos.
oh,
And it was absolute chaos. He hadn't pushed his drawer in, there was papers overflowing everywhere. He had, a pencil sharpener across the room. There was a drink bottle that was, not organized. I think at that point there was a record, we'd lost 5 lunchboxes in a week at that point. And we were very much the stereotypical, oh, but that's what his room's like, that's who he is. And I
two
think
things can be true.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So we didn't really kind of understand too much at that point, but then I started to read a little bit about it and started to do a little bit of research and that sort of stuff, because we had noticed since he'd started school, things that he had been doing quite easily before school suddenly then changed
Mm,
over the course of him being at school. And a lot of the things we noticed in him was like there was a lot of fatigue, there was a lot of, like motivation, like couldn't get him
yeah.
to get up in
No
the morning.
motivation. Yeah.
Yes. Very hard to get him to get out of bed in the morning. He was sleeping a lot, he'd come home and everything would be fine after school, but he'd go to bed, he was sleeping 12
Mm,
hours a night. there was a lot of stuff that there was a lot of envy from other parents going, I can't get my kid to sleep.
You're like,
You
I
know?
can't get mine out of the fucking bed.
And I've got the opposite end going, yeah, well, I'm trying to get mine out of bed. And poor little buddy, like he broke out in eczema head to toe. He was
Oh,
just like
oh fuck yeah.
there was a lot of stuff going on for him, and we didn't understand because what we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we took him for his assessment. It was about an 18-month process. He was diagnosed, then he started on Ritalin, and
Mhm.
I remember the first weekend that he'd been on Ritalin, and I walked into him in his bedroom and I said, "Oh, mate, like we did every other weekend, I just need you to tidy your room up because I've got to come in and vacuum or something like that."
Mhm.
And he did. He tidied. I remember, like, I almost like sort of fell to my knees. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is a completely different life we've given him now,
Yeah.
like understanding what was going on.
Mm.
So we were kind of going through all of this stuff with him. And I was seeing my psychologist. So I'd been seeing a psychologist for 10 years for varying things. And as we were going through his process, I talked to her and she said to me at one point, she said, maybe we should do the screening process. And I said, oh, okay, sure, no worries. I'm like, it's totally from his dad. Turns out, no,
No.
it's not the case. So yeah, anyway, she did the screening test with me and she very specifically wanted me to do the screening test with her instead of just sending me away to do it online by myself
Hmm.
because of some of the questions, like particularly around the organization and things. And she said to me, she said, oh, are you organized? And on the screen, it's a yes or no
Yeah.
answer.
Mm.
And so I said yes. And she said, but why are you organized?
Mhm.
And I said, well, if I don't have this calendar and if I don't have this plan and if it's not written down here, if and it's not this, and everything's, monitored,
Yeah.
then everything falls apart. And she's
Mm.
like, okay. There was a whole bunch of obviously the screening questions we went through there, and I think it was
Mm.
14 out of the 15. I was indicating that I had ADHD. Like, okay, cool. This is a entirely new concept for me. But in the same breath, it then everything just suddenly made sense.
Mm.
Everything made sense. And I think because I'd spent most of my adult life going, why does this seem so hard for me?
Mm.
It seems so like everybody else just seems to be able to do this stuff really easily. But for me, like everything felt hard.
Yeah.
Everything felt like a challenge,
Yeah.
Making a cup of tea. Like I'd want a cup of tea at night, sitting down watching TV or whatever with Hayden. And I'd be like, oh, I really, really want one. But I could not make myself get up off the couch to go and make the tea,
Yeah.
and it's like all this stuff then all started making sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
it started a couple of years ago, but has been a very, very steep learning curve since then.
The running joke in my household is, oh, let's make mum a cup of tea so she can forget about it and get back to it in 3 days' time.
Walk past it on the beach, go, oh yeah, I'm coming back
Yeah.
to that.
I'm like, oh crap, I forgot my fucking cup of tea.
Oh my God, where was that again?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I was really thirsty.
Really wanted that.
Yeah. And the other one is, where are my pants?
Oh, yes. And
Back
do
on the
you know
bed.
what? It's so funny because with the organization thing, because I actually had a business that was called To Be Organized, and it was
Oh yeah.
called To Be Organized. The two was TWO because I had twins, and I was
Mm.
like, I would share this is how I get them organized.
Manage. Yeah.
This is what my process is, and that sort of stuff. And having no idea that I had to do all of that because I was ADHD. And if I wasn't organized and didn't,
Wasn't gonna happen.
yes, definitely.
It's amazing how, like, the coping strategies that you put in place means that life functions, right? But
Yeah,
you need not so much the capacity, but you need the meh, you need the motivation to do it. I don't know about you before kids, but me without any motivation to do anything, I just wouldn't. There was no organization. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was telling them how I had a crock pot in the back of my car for like 2 years just because yeah, that's where it lived. And I had somebody's white boots that I borrowed for a party and I eventually gave them back like 10 years later, but they'd just been sitting in my car. There was nothing, I think when I gave them back, they still had like the alcohol.
The intention is there.
Yeah, the follow through was a little bit shit, but and yeah, my boot used to just have absolutely all possibilities of anything that you could possibly desire. Treasure trove of stuff.
I have everything you could possibly need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
including a crock pot. And maybe there was an electric fire fan in there for a little bit too. But anyway,
I love that.
my entire collection of, downloaded DVDs.
Hey, look, you never know when you're going to need those.
Right. Movie night may hit you at strange times.
That's okay.
And how have you found the acceptance with your family and sharing the news, or have you kept it to yourself? What's going on?
I am an open book, very much, probably too much. I have always been one of these people that have, been sharing on Facebook or on socials, or
Mm,
I think there was a lot of, at that point, because Killian had been diagnosed, there was already a little bit of acceptance because we were kind of explaining, because he and I and my daughter are all inattentive, impulsive ADHD. So
mm,
we have the cannot get the motivation to do anything. And if we are in that state and frame of mind, then we can't do anything. So
mm,
there was a lot going on in that time, which I thought was because it was, all pandemic lockdowns, all of that chaotic
mm,
time. So 20 October 2020, I started my business, or went out on my own, went self-employed. It's evolved quite a lot in and of itself, but it was it was really interesting when I got the diagnosis, because I was, instead of what we thought was long COVID,
mm.
because I was so fatigued, I was so burnt out, I was so exhausted. Like there were mornings when I'd wake up and I'd be like, I actually don't know how I'm going to get the kids to school today.
Mm.
I'd wake up in the morning and I would just go, I don't know how I'm going to do
Yeah.
this, because it wasn't just the the getting out of bed and the feet on the floor and the okay, let's move forward part.
Mm.
It was I've got two kids who are both, again, at this point, undiagnosed ADHD.
Mm.
I'm trying to corral together to get organized, to get out the door. We were doing things like letting everybody sleep as long as
You
possible,
needed. Yeah.
because we thought that was the way to go. So there was a whole bunch of stuff, and it got to a point where my parents came down and they said to me, "You can't keep going on like this."
Mm.
Like they were watching me basically just,
Keep on slowly drowning.
yeah, yeah, crashing and burning. And obviously, I'm their kid, so they're going, we
Yeah.
need to,
I need to protect you.
yeah,
So
yeah, they're here
what
to
are you
protect
going to
me.
do? Yep.
So they basically said, if you don't make an appointment to see the GP, we will, because it's at
Yep.
the point where you need help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine.
I'm just
I got this.
tired.
I got this. It's fine. And so yeah, we got sort of into that initial discussion, but there was a lot of focus. It was all thought that it was long COVID.
Long COVID. Yeah.
And then I went through a whole heap of stuff with long COVID and ended up, trying to like seeing specialists. And at one point they thought it was Hashimoto's, and then they thought it was POTS, and then they thought it was, a whole bunch of things, because I kind of had all these symptoms from different things, but nothing kind of like quite lined up.
Landed.
And
Yeah.
I was trying to do all these different things, which again is then another massive load, because then you're trying to
Mm.
add all this extra stuff to look after yourself. And I think it was once I'd spoken to my psychologist, and she had basically said, look, I've done the screening tests. I've still got to send a, questionnaire to your husband, but I'm pretty sure you're ADHD, and this is probably where a lot of these things are stemming from.
Mm.
Then I was able to then I started to share it. So I think, I'm sort of not backwards in coming forwards with that sort of stuff, and just sort of threw it out to, family chats and
But
stuff we had.
yeah.
And that was it. And then, wrote a few posts or whatever on socials and probably started 16 other Instagram accounts because I was like, oh, I can help people do this over here. Talk about this on this one, and let's do this. But I mean, overall, I think initially there was a little bit of, but you've always been like that.
Mm.
Like,
And that's true. But
yeah.
that gets to the point where your capacity is just so depleted,
Mm,
especially after kids, and that ignoring all of those internal and external cues that say, hey, this isn't actually working. You
yeah.
go, no, I'm just not trying hard enough, or I've just got the wrong system in place. And that could be true, but I've just got the wrong mindset. I just need to focus on the end goal more. I just need to, and
Yeah.
that's where I say, I just need to call bullshit and say, actually, whatever you're fucking doing is not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's rearrange that.
Yeah. 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 And I think that was the biggest thing. So I don't think I didn't have anybody say no, oh no, you can't have ADHD. I remember one of my girlfriends, she when I sort of I messaged a particular group of friends and she wrote back and she's like, with all the love in the world, she said, I can see it. She's
No
like, you
fucking
go to
shit.
the kitchen to do something and start three businesses on the way in there. You know, she's like, I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me?
I thought you knew.
Exactly. How come I didn't know this? You know? Yeah. So it's been widely, well received, and most people have just kind of gone, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
about the extent of it. Having said that, very interestingly, I've had quite a lot of male friends
Mm,
that I've known for a number of years. Had lots of conversations with them.
mm.
They're, yeah, undiagnosed, sort of, yeah, can see that there's a lot of similarities with what I'm sharing and what I'm saying that they can kind of relate
Yeah.
to. And yeah, which I think is great because it's opening the conversation.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Like if they've been, excuse me, if they've been tarred with the, pain in the ass brush from a young age, then the investigation stops of actually you're just a pain in the ass shit of a kid.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. So we don't need to deal with that anymore. We'll just try and get you out of my classroom as soon as possible so I don't have to deal with you anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
how they slip through the cracks.
Mm.
Where is it so typical presentation, but just a fucking annoying person, so they don't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's really hard. I mean, there's so many people, and I suppose it's, your vibe attracts your tribe, and you tend to sort of, stick with people, and it is interesting because most, oh, I won't say most, but there are a lot of people that I'm friends with that I've been friends with for a long time, or the ones that sort of come in and the ones that stick
Mm.
are either diagnosed or suspected or show very similar traits. And I think there's probably a lot of benefit for my oversharing because I do get quite a few messages from people saying, okay, so what did you like? How did you go about this? And a few people have been so being open about it, and
Yeah.
thanks for sharing and that sort of stuff.
And
Because
saying things. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
My my breath is like hitting me back in the face.
Oh no,
I just have to move the microphone so I can breathe easy without it. I'm like, oh no, sorry.
kidding me. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that's the value of the social media as a platform, isn't it? That the stories get shared, and that other people can pick up on bits where they may have fallen through the cracks. So
mm,
yeah, it's good to have that when you're doing it in your capacity and in your control. I think that's less of the trauma dump and run where you've gone, oh, I've just met you and here's my last bowel movements kind of info dump, and then I shouldn't have probably shared that bit.
yeah, that's it. Probably shouldn't have talked about that so much.
It's very
Yes, yeah, I think it is. There's so much. I think there's a lot that we can get out of socials from that
mm,
that side of things is to
yeah.
share. I mean, it's not easy for everybody, and I respect that, and I understand that a lot of people struggle, to kind of to start that conversation or have that initial sort of it might be in their head or swirling around or, something like that. So I'm hopeful that, even if there's one other person that I can help just by, reposting something and saying, I think I did it yesterday. I reposted something on Facebook and said, I couldn't articulate it as well as this, but this is
Mm,
basically what we go through. And you won't see this because I mask, both the kids mask, you
mm.
know, but this is what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like there's no harm. Well, yes, there's harm in masking, but it has a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
It's the going on behind the scenes that doesn't need to be open for it to be true. And I think that's when you do the trauma dump of here's my life, oh my God, blah blah blah, and then oh, I shouldn't have shared that. That's okay not to share when it happens in the time. And then
Yeah.
you get to share your story when you're ready in the boundaries that you are comfortable in sharing.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through it, you're like, I don't know what the fucking answer is right now. So, like, there is no end to this story. It's just the trauma build, trauma build, trauma build with
Yeah.
no, oh, I found a resolution kind of at the end.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think I tend to be, I've actually closed the apps off of my phone. I've put blocks on Instagram and Facebook and stuff for the moment because I'm impulsive.
Yeah.
So I'll be in the middle of a thought and I'll be like, I need to share this with the world, and then I'll post something about it. And quite often, that kind of that cuts through to people, I guess,
Yeah.
'cause it's kind of spontaneous and in the moment and as it's happening and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've started to realize that I need to probably, for my own sake, kind of
Yeah.
pull back a little bit. Because
Yeah.
when I was going through the process of it all, like, you know, I said, like, oh, they think that I've got Hashimoto's, and then a whole bunch of
Mm,
people that have got Hashimoto's, and are really struggling and suffering from it
mm,
came on and commented, and I'm sort of listening and going, oh, I don't even know if that's really it. And then, with POTS and that sort of stuff, like I wasn't diagnosed with POTS, but I was showing, a good number of signs and symptoms, and especially with the fatigue and the heart rate
mm,
change and, a whole bunch of things. But I definitely don't have POTS. And but people were trying to just stick a label on it, and then
mm,
I was kind of saying, oh, this is what I think's going on, and this is what I think's going on, on more of a public platform. And at the time it made sense, but like you say, it's not the end of the story.
mm.
So I kind of every now and then those posts and things come up on my memories and I think, oh, should I take it down?
I think leave that. It is
But I was like,
part
oh,
of your
kind of,
journey, but it's part of your realization as well as, you get to share your story when you're ready, not, and if that's when it's happening, then so be it.
yeah,
But it means that you don't have the time to process by yourself if you're sharing it instantaneously.
yeah,
And I think we are very good at intellectualizing the process without having the emotions like time to actually process the emotions because we're like, emotions, I don't really like them that much.
yeah,
We
that's
can intellectualize and we can theorize and we can connect dots and we can create new research programs and we can
yeah,
do that till the cows come home, right? But
yeah,
if we're exposing like you were saying, behind the scenes in real time, then we skip over that emotional processing
yeah,
because, like you said, people will reach out and they'll start talking to you. So it starts conversations, but it doesn't get you to actually process the emotional side of it at all.
yeah. And I think that that's been huge for me as well, and understanding the regulation as
Mm,
well, because sort of prior to it was just like you said, it was just I've got this coping mechanism and I'm just going to keep using that and I'm just going to keep pushing through. And, even if it's not really great, it's good enough,
what you've got.
and what I've got, and it's what I understand. And so therefore I'm going to just keep kicking the can
Yeah.
down the road with it until that
Until it runs
capacity
out.
is absolutely reached.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you need capacity to introduce a new coping mechanism, right?
Mm.
You need a little buffer somewhere along the line in order to make a change or introduce something new. So
Yeah.
when you don't have it, you're like, oh, I just got to keep on doing this. And I hear it often with my clients, like, oh, just wait until the weekend. I'm like, okay, well, what's fucking happening on the weekend that's going to make a change?
Yeah.
nothing, but I can hold it until the weekends and then everything falls apart. Well, that's not actually supportive. That's just,
Yeah. Yeah.
putting it off for a little while longer.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is that I've always needed to know the answer.
Mm,
I really struggle if there's something and there's not an answer to it. And the thing is, even if I can't do anything about the answer, just knowing it makes a big
makes a difference.
difference for me.
Mm, mm,
Because when we like, so yeah, Killian was diagnosed, then I was diagnosed, and then we're looking at Grace going, she's me. She is me
yeah.
all over. We're doing her a disservice by not getting her assessed.
Mm,
But it was very interesting. So, boy girl twins, same school, not the same teacher, but we struggled to get her assessment. We
yeah.
struggled to get her a diagnosis. And by that point, her mum and her twin brother had been diagnosed.
And it was
So
still a
it's not like we
struggle.
were taking her in with this clean slate and going, oh, we've got some thoughts,
Yeah.
because her teacher dismissed it. Her
Yeah.
teacher basically submitted her survey, her questionnaire, and
Mm,
said no, she shows zero signs.
wow.
Which the pediatrician was like, well, that in itself kind of says something.
When
If
there's
there's
the
a couple,
extreme opposite, something's not right somewhere along the
yeah.
line.
So, so that was kind of like the end of 2024 for her.
Mm,
And then we had to wait until the new school year, and then we had to wait until a new teacher, and then we had to wait,
mm,
and we had to wait, and we had to wait. So she was diagnosed in June 2025.
wow. Yeah.
And all the pediatrician could offer her was anti-anxiety medication.
Why? Wow.
I know, at 9. And I was like, yes, she's got anxiety. Like, she's a bit anxious, but she's anxious because she's got undiagnosed ADHD and she needs capacity. And
Yeah.
diagnosis, awareness, medication
Capacity. Mm,
is going to give her the capacity. And surprise, surprise, when she was diagnosed and she started medication, that made a massive difference to her as well.
mm.
And so, yeah, now you see our kitchen bench in the morning and we've got all of our little
All the
Webster,
little pill poppers.
all of that sort of stuff. But they're at an age now where we have a lot of open conversations
Mm,
about ADHD and about,
mm,
how our brains work, and particularly at the moment, there's a lot of regulation stuff that we're going through with them as well, trying to
mm.
explain to them that, when you regulate, and they do a lot of zones of regulation at school, which is
Yeah.
that's a new curriculum that's been brought through,
Mm,
which certainly helps. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of, because that's my ADHD, is the patterns and
mm,
I can see the patterns, and I want to solve the problem.
mm.
My biggest thing has been having to put the brakes on and go, I can't solve this problem yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to
And I
try
think
this.
that's where the impulse to share comes along as well. Like you can't gather more information, but you can talk about it. And talking about it creates, that stimulation that you kind of would get around the solving of the problem. It's
Yeah,
it's almost a delay tactic that you're still actioning, but not actually resolving because, there wasn't
yeah,
any actually. You're heading
yeah.
for the wrong fucking direction to start with.
I know, that's it. And everything takes time. Oh. Oh, why can't this be done yesterday? I've got the answer. I think I've got the answer. Why can't I put it in place?
Let me talk about it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, funny.
Hello, I'm Joan Hatchard, founder of Better Being Me and creator of Be Me Completely. For years, I worked with families across Australia, helping them understand and support their neurodivergent children. But what I've seen over and over again is a growing number of women silently screaming for help. Women who've spent their lives adapting, masking, and trying to keep everything together, only to realise that they've lost themselves in the process. This is why I've created Be Me Completely, an 8-week program designed specifically for late identifying neurodivergent women. I help you reclaim your identity and embrace who you are. Come with me as we peel back the mask and learn to feel comfort in the world. This isn't about fixing yourself. You are never broken. This is about putting your needs on the table, recognizing your strengths, and learning to live in a way that works for you. Join me for 8 weeks of support backed by a lifetime of access so you can finally remember who you are, because my life is better being me. and your life is better being you. How has that impacted your business? So you are a bookkeeper.
Yes. So that again, that was a big thing. I knew from when I was probably 14 or 15 that I wanted my own business. That was just always the kind of the end goal. I didn't really know what it was going to be or what it was going to look like. I just always knew that I wanted my own business because I've always worked in small business. And so yeah, and that was also another thing with my journey, because I used to go into like depressive patterns,
Mm,
and I found in hindsight realized, because it always felt like it was this cycle.
hmm.
Like it didn't feel
About
like it
seven
was a
years.
particular event or yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized it was being employed.
Mm,
Once I got over that dopamine of that new job, kind of,
and getting
nailing it,
sorted. Yeah.
improving the position or the role or whatever, and then I was in the grind,
Mm.
the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
You're like, eh.
I would hit depression. I would get to a point where I'd be like crying in the car on the way to work, and then
Mm,
I was diagnosed with depression, and I was treated, and I would take antidepressants, and
mm,
there'd be all of that side of things, and then I'd start to feel good, and then I'd be like, oh, maybe there's another job, so I'd stay in jobs for,
longer than necessary.
it wasn't sort of a short-term turnaround, but there was always there was always something else. I always knew I wanted to do something else, but didn't know what.
Mm,
And so I think, yeah, COVID was a big catalyst for that. I was like, you know what? I've got some skills. I'd done a bookkeeping course. I didn't actually go into bookkeeping when I started. I just went into like being a VA.
mm,
And I started working for people that I used to be employed by. So I still have
mm.
really good relationships with people that I used to
Yeah.
work with,
Work with.
and they were like, oh, we still want your eyes across this, or, can you help us do some
Mm,
pieces? So that was great. And then I had this big, all through the middle of, I remember, I think it might have been at one of our group sessions. I was sitting
mm,
outside and I was like, I've just got to lodge this BAS application, like registration thing. Anyway, lodged it. It came through. I was registered as a BAS-agent, and then I sat there and I went, I don't fucking want to be a BAS-agent, because my brain was still in that box. It was
mm,
if you're going to be a BAS-agent, then this is what a BAS-agent does.
mm.
You have a bunch of clients, and every 12 weeks you lodge their BAS for them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
rinse and repeat, do this. I'm like, I just can't do this. And so it's evolved a lot, particularly since my diagnosis, because what I was finding is people were coming to me and going, I'm really embarrassed. I'm behind. My accountant has said to set up Xero, or my accountant has said, can you get this organized for me?
Mm,
And I would go, yeah, sure, no worries. And initially I would take it on and we would do it together. Like I would
yeah.
do it for them and, kind of send it back and go, your file's ready to go.
Mm.
But what I really found was then they'd come back to me later and they'd be like, oh, it's a mess again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't done anything since I last spoke to you, and my BAS is due. Can you help me catch it up? And I was like, something in this. But the thing is, that is how BAS agents work.
Yeah.
They have a huge number of clients
Mm.
that they lodge the BAS for every quarter. It doesn't work for me because BAS falls in school holidays.
School
The
holidays.
deadlines are in
Yeah.
school holidays. And I started my business, so I had the flexibility around the kids. This was all pre-diagnosis and before
Mm.
we realized how much kind of, space and capacity we all needed.
Mm.
And so it's naturally evolved into, I do everything with clients now. So that
Mm.
it's still people coming to me going, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I haven't looked at my books for 12, 18, 24 months, 3 years.
Yeah.
I haven't done a tax return. I know that I need to pay. I know that I've got to do BAS. I think I'm probably registered for GST, but I don't really know,
Mm.
because a lot of the people that I work with, when it comes to financials, their brain becomes like
Mush.
mine does with verbal instructions. It's just like Teflon. It's like,
Mm.
you're talking at me. I've got a good business. These people that I work with are phenomenal at, making the sales and bringing the money in, because they're incredible at what they do or what they create or what they share or whatever the case is.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as soon as you get an ABN, you've got obligations, whether
Yeah.
it's tax return, BAS, whatever it is.
Mm.
But there's none of this is shared. Like this isn't, once you get your ABN, whether you do it, whether your accountant does it, whatever, that's it. It's like, here's your ABN, make sure it's on your invoice when you're,
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
your,
Bye.
you know, there's just, if you haven't had anything outside of that, then how
Mm.
are you meant to know what your obligations are? There's literally nothing that there's not even like a step by step, this is what you need to have, these are the records you need to keep, this is a good way to do it. And so what I've done is I've shifted now and I work specifically with clients and we do it all together
Yeah.
because it's faster because I screen share and I have all of that because I'm fast at what I do
Mm.
and I can see patterns and I can see I'm very good at creating processes and putting things in place. So I work with my clients to understand how their business fits into their life. And then
Mm.
once I understand how their business fits into their life and we've done the catch up, then it's a case of moving forward. I'm going to give you as few steps to do as possible
Yeah.
and still configure it so that the accountant gets what they need at the end.
Get they what they want. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's been a massive, massive shift. And now I'm happy to be a BAS agent, but I do not lodge anybody's BAS, and I never will.
Remember the conversation? I think we're in the pool and you went, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But I think you just partnered with somebody who was also a BAS agent and you were gonna do that together at some point.
Yeah, so I've got some people that I will recommend. So
Yeah.
most of the clients that I work with are sole traders.
Mm.
I do end-to-end bookkeeping without the BAS lodgement for a number of people who are like seven-figure businesses, which are quite complex, which is good for my brain because I like the complexity of,
The
multiple
different,
companies,
different. Yeah.
do all of that sort of stuff, which is kind of day to day. But the people that I work with, I get them to a point where they can either do it themselves and we just do a check-in, and they
Mm.
reach out when they've got a question or something like that because they feel that they can, they can just ask the question without feeling overwhelmed and going,
Yeah.
oh my God, you know, my accountant's going to think I'm an idiot for asking this question or whatever. So they get to the point where they can either do their own BAS lodgements because they know that they understand the program, they understand the process, they understand how it all fits together,
Mm.
or
They've at
they
least
do
got their
all of
records
the
ready for their
data
account.
agent for them to do the actual lodgement
Mm.
for a second set of
And how many iterations of you do you reckon there've been? And how stable do you reckon this iteration is?
a really good question. I used to be it was there used to be a very long-standing joke about my hair because I would always change my hair. And my friends would be like, I don't know what you're going to look like next time I see you because your hair's got pink or it's going to be, a pixie cut or, it's it's going to be whatever it's going to be. And I think again in hindsight that was like just me trying on different, you know,
Yeah.
trying on different personalities and trying on because like a lot of people, I'll match the energy and I'll match whoever I'm with and sometimes I'll leave situations or, places and events and think, oh, that felt really good. Maybe I'll,
Maybe I'll do them. Oh,
maybe I'll
maybe
do
not
that.
do them. That's a different podcast.
Maybe I'll embody some of their
Mm.
habits or traits or,
Yeah.
their personality or whatever.
Mm.
But I think in the last probably 3 to 4 months, it's been more of, no, this is me. This is, I feel comfortable in who I am now. And I think that's shining a lot in business as well.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm constantly having to, because I realize how easily influenced I am.
Mm.
There was a big part of me having to step back and step away from like socials, and cull the
Mm.
socials feed and cull all of that stuff so that I wasn't influenced to, oh, if I just do this course or if I just sign up to that program or if I get
Mm.
this app, then everything's going to be
All
easier.
gonna be fabulous.
Let's do all of the things.
Besides my program, of course.
But I think it's a big case of because that's who I am,
Mm.
they're that's who I work with.
Yeah.
So, when clients come to me and they say, oh, my accountant says just put the money aside for BAS, and they look at me and they're just completely lost. They're like, if the money's in my account, it's there to spend, because
Fantastic.
we don't see down the line. The future is
Mm,
total, like, it's just concepts to us. It means nothing. We
mm.
can have calendars and reminders and things that flash and jump out and slap us in the face and go, your BAS is due next week. But it's still irrelevant, like
Yeah.
it still doesn't mean anything. So I'll say to people, like, we can set you up with different processes, like send your BAS to the ATO every week. Like, just
Just
we
send
can
it.
set up an amount. We'll work out roughly what your income is. We'll work out a rough figure. It might not be exact,
Mm,
but at least when BAS comes around and lodgement's due, you've paid 90% of it, or you've paid too much and you get a bit of a refund. Like,
mm.
we set it up so that it takes
Yeah.
the decision away. It takes that, like, having to think of due dates and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You introduce the systems to everybody that you've been doing. And so I
Yeah.
think it's nice the carry on between how you've organized your life for coping until you could no longer cope. Now those skills aren't irrelevant. Now
Yeah.
they're utilized by other people.
Yeah.
Like you've tried and tested and, failed and gone through and reiterated and stuff. So now you get to go, all right, well, if that didn't work, we've got other things we can try. But this is the first one that kind of creates
Yeah.
that lockstep learning of you can't fuck yourself with money you don't have. So,
Yeah. 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 Pretty much. Yeah. And I think, like, what I really love about it is that to me, it doesn't matter what industry. So I get my dopamine hit from like seeing a new problem to solve.
yeah.
And while it might be the same problem, being, like,
Mm,
we've got to catch up records and data and stuff, I get to meet somebody new. I get to learn a new industry. I get to work out how they operate. I get to learn their quirks.
mm,
Like, all of that stuff for me is what fills my bucket.
yeah.
And I can utilize the skills, yeah, exactly, that I have been using my whole life with the organization and the process creation and the problem solving, and I can put
Mm,
that into place. And yeah, I mean, the feedback I get is amazing. Like, it really, like, it blows me away, because I
mm,
kind of just go, well, this is just what I do.
yeah.
But, people, I've had messages from people just going, like, I haven't thought about money. I
Mm,
actually slept last night. I haven't slept for months because I've been stressed out about how I'm going to pay this, or where the money's coming from, or what's going on. And
mm.
yeah, I've had several people send me messages after, a session, and just say, I actually slept last night.
You can actually relax.
And it's
Yeah.
huge. Like, that's massive to me. That's
Mm,
all I want to do. Is I want to help people sleep.
yeah. And, for whatever society that we're living in right now, money means the difference between being fucking stressed and being not stressed,
Yeah.
like at the base level of it. If
Yeah.
you know where your money is coming and where it needs to be going and what it is meant to be doing, that
Yeah.
is just a big relief, full stop, so that capacity can be put into any other strategy. Like,
Yeah.
once you're not fucking worried about money, like, or at least that stress has been reduced. So you still might not have a fucking ton of it,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
know how to manage what you've got.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And
that's,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Abs-
little lock steps that you put in place mean that, like I said, you can't fuck yourself with stuff you don't have.
Yeah.
So getting it in priority and getting it sorted means that there is that tension release and you can then create capacity for all the other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be honest, I mean, most of our sessions that I have with people, like, the first chunk is just a massive brain dump.
Mm.
It's not because, like, to me, the past is a concept just as much as the future is a concept.
Yeah.
Like, this is where things are at the moment. It helps me to understand kind of why things are the way they are,
Yeah.
but it's also irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, there's no, as absolutely no judgment. There's no, whereas I think, particularly in this industry, that's what a lot of accountants and a lot of BAS agents come across as. And,
Mm.
like I can't be in the Facebook groups. I can't industry, like there's a reason that there's that perception.
There's a reason why there's that comes up.
And I just can't be part of it because people are just,
Yeah.
it can be really rough. But yeah, I think a lot of what I do is the regulation. It's understanding. It's making people understand that they're safe. Like I've got a safe space and they can talk to me and they can be honest about their situation. And once they can kind of take that breath and
Mm.
they've got a bit of regulation, then stuff starts to sink in. But
Yeah.
it's like anything, isn't it? Like if you're completely overwhelmed, and somebody says to you, "Oh, just do this," or "Send me this information," or
Mm.
asks you to do another task or take something on, nothing sinks in.
No.
Nothing.
Mhm.
So like a big part of my process is actually just is talking. And
Yeah.
it's like let's
Create a little bit of capacity. Let's
yeah,
some holes in
create
the
a bit of
bucket.
space. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm. Amazing. And I think one of the benefits of, you're wanting to share is that there's no gatekeeping, right?
Mm.
So while in the past it might have been you sharing on Instagram or Facebook, now it's actually you get to share consistently with your clients in that space.
Yeah.
So you still get that dopamine hit of the sharing and having the conversations and having that soundboarding impact while still creating, a little bit of protection for you so you don't have to look back on your memories and go, "Well,
That life though.
Gilly's
Thank
got
God
so
that we
much
were
to
around
say."
before Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, say that again.
Thank God we were around before
Yeah,
Facebook and
right.
Instagram.
Fucking hell.
Oh yeah, there's some photos in those
Coping
lots.
mechanisms were not great.
No, no, glad that's not in there.
And
Yeah.
yeah, for our kids, like getting diagnosed, I don't know what.
I get Watson just, yeah, he gets a bit crazy at all of the things.
Oh my God, Paul Watson. How is he going?
He's good at the moment. He did wake me up throwing up the other night, so that was fun. We'd given him a bone because we were out for the day.
Yeah,
I'll give you a bone. And he obviously just, I don't know.
choked it down. Ah,
He was having regrets at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just wake up to this dog trying to vomit next to me.
God.
Can we just not? I would just like it, like a solid sleep would be amazing.
What time are you waking up anyway? Like I wake up at 3, 2 to 3.
Oh, yeah, I'm not too bad. Usually sleep is one thing that I've always been quite good
Oh,
at.
that's good.
Sleeping I've been quite good at. We've got a bit of challenge because Grace has always struggled with sleep.
Mm,
She's always had trouble getting to sleep. When they were little and they were in the same bedroom together in their cots next to each other, Killian would just chill. He'd go in, he'd just fall asleep. He'd have his bottle, sleep,
mm.
chuck it out. He'd be asleep within minutes. And she'd kind of spin around in her cot and she'd babble away to him, and then she'd be fine. She'd settle down, she'd go to sleep.
Yeah,
But it was always this you kind of window of time.
bit
And
of a
again,
process.
that's a wonderful thing. And yeah, then we understood the world of melatonin
Mm,
again. And so she was given some melatonin before she was diagnosed. And that made a massive difference because
yeah.
we realized that she was probably getting another 10 hours of sleep a week by
Wow. Yeah,
melatonin. Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously that makes a huge impact when you're 9.
Mm,
And so that was a huge step for her capacity and her management of just
mm,
life. Yeah. And then recently the melatonin script, again, ADHD, thought we
mm.
had another repeat, didn't have another repeat, have to go back to the pediatrician, have to get us the whole thing. And so
Yeah,
I kind of took it as a sign to be like starting to tell herself, and she's starting to get the belief that she can't go to sleep.
yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to be a lifelong impact for her
Mm,
if she creates this story that she can't go to sleep and going to sleep is hard.
mm,
And, I'm all for using whatever tools you got in your toolbox to make things easier,
mm.
melatonin being one of them. But I thought I'd been watching her for a few weeks and I'd been watching her pattern, even with the melatonin before she went to sleep. And I was watching her regulation and realizing that if we didn't interrupt it, she would go through this
You would just
pattern
keep
before
him.
she went to
Yeah.
sleep.
Mm,
And so without the melatonin, that pattern is still in place, but it's prolonged.
mm,
So yeah, we've been giving up a lot of our nights in the last probably 10 days or so
mm.
because we want to show her that she can do it and that she can regulate and that she can get herself to sleep, even if it takes a while.
A little
So
longer, yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like the melatonin is coming back. We are getting more melatonin, but we kind of want her to understand that it's tool
That's
in her
only a
toolbox,
part.
but it's not something that she has to rely on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also so yeah, Gilbert's been having melatonin, like, and if he doesn't have it, then he just keeps on fucking talking.
Yeah.
I'm like, Brad tells me off a little bit, but my catchphrase at the end of the day is Gilbert, shut up and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, like, shut up, go
Yeah.
to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all of that pattern that happens before getting to bed. If that's off, then the melatonin, while it's still going to get you to sleep, you're going to be relying on that so heavily
Yeah.
that like when you don't have it, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So when you've got the, all right, well, let's do all the stuff that's actually good sleep hygiene, and then we'll add melatonin on top. That means that when you don't have the melatonin, you still got all that good sleep hygiene process that will like hopefully reduce the sleeping time, like get
Yeah.
sleep time, but and then the melatonin on top is just a now we can.
Yeah. Now we can go to sleep. Yeah. But it's like it's crazy, isn't it? Because it does all come back to that capacity and it comes back to, you know, before now, I didn't have the capacity at the end of the day to be
Yeah,
able to sit with her while she regulates next to me.
yeah,
I didn't have the capacity because I was getting to the end of the day and I was cooked. I'm like, I've got nothing left in the tank. I've got no words, I've got no focus, I've got no, you
yeah.
know, I've done the things we need to do.
Now we're done.
And now I'm done. Like I'm out. Um, and so it would be incredibly frustrating with the
With
coming
their
in
sleeping
and out and
capacity. Yeah.
can't go to sleep and the, you know, aggravation on the brother to try and get the dope
Mm,
and the, starting the arguments and the all of this sort of stuff. And yeah, I think it's good because like I said, they're 10 and a half now. So I can start to explain a lot of this stuff to them in their
yeah.
language and kind of go, this is your brain is seeking this, and I've always said to them, even when they were little, even before all the diagnosis and everything, I'm like, call me out. Like if I'm being horrible, like
Mm,
grumpy, or if you think something I've said or whatever is not fair, like call me out.
just say it. Yeah.
Just say it, which is, easy to say, and then when it happens, you're like,
But also, it's a really good indicator of your own capacity as well. So
yeah,
sometimes we need that external, hey, you're being a dick
yeah.
from a trusted person to go, actually, yeah, you're right, you are. I am being a dick, rather than, no, you're being the dick.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I think that capacity thing and the regulation thing for us
Mm,
has been the biggest thing in our household, as a collective, and we've had to change a lot of behaviors and a lot of, habits and that
mm,
societal expectation and that side of things as well, because we've kind of gone, well, I know that that's what it's meant to look like,
yeah,
or that said that it was meant to look like that.
yeah.
you know, and that doesn't work for us.
Yeah,
It just it
let's
doesn't work.
find the thing that works. Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. So, in wrapping up, what would be your biggest takeaway for any neurodivergent folk in their AM?
I think my biggest thing would be that if you suspect, or if you're undiagnosed and you suspect that you might be, is to investigate it, because for me, the biggest surprise I had was the compassion
Mm,
for myself.
mm,
And I went from, being anxious and depressed and burnt out and exhausted because I didn't know the underlying cause
yeah.
to suddenly, and for me personally, it was almost instant. It
Mm,
was, yeah, life is harder for you,
mm,
but you've still been able to get where you are and do the things that you've done, whatever it looks like.
mm,
You know, I think that was the thing that surprised me the most. And I think for people that are out there struggling and feeling like, why is this shit, like, why is day-to-day stuff just so hard? Like, why does it feel like everybody around me seems to be able to do this? I think particularly for women, um, obviously because that's all I can speak from.
yeah.
But yeah, that shift from why is this so hard and how does everybody else seem to be able to do this so easily?
Mm,
You're actually doing really well.
yeah. Or even, well, what's going to work for me? What is the actual
Yeah.
end goal?
Yeah, it
What are
doesn't.
we actually aiming for? What do I want? Mm,
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's huge because there was a big, yeah, like I said, there was a big shift in business. There was a big shift in,
mm,
there's big shifts everywhere. And we tend to face things head on, in our household. So if there's a problem, we will try and look for the
spot on.
answer, whether we
Mm,
can do anything about it or make things easier or whatever. But yeah, I think that's probably been my biggest takeaway from everything is just investigate, have a look into it, because you might be surprised at how much compassion you've got for yourself.
mm, yeah. Yeah. And the compassion feeds in the capacity, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
when you
100%.
stop shoveling shit up a hill, you can actually start
Yeah, yeah,
doing things your way. Mm,
yeah, yeah, that's right. And you feel less like you need to have a reason for doing things differently.
yeah.
You can just
You can just do it.
kind of able to go, this works for me, that's why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
Just is that literally everything in the world is just fucking made up anyway.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
I think
It's all
that was I had this big like epiphany moment where I was like, you know what? Literally fucking everything is made up. You
literally everything is just
know,
made up.
deadlines, due dates, tax, like all of that
Yeah.
stuff. And I kind of, when I was able to take that concept into business as well, I was kind of
Mm,
I'm able to explain that to people and go, yes, it matters, and yes, there's consequences, sorted.
yeah.
And there is no one way to get to the end of that.
Yeah.
There's no one way to get to that end goal. The end goal is the same for everybody. You've got to lodge, you've got to have da 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 da. I don't care if you've got a spreadsheet, a software program, a
Mm,
sheet full of receipts. It does
we'll
not
get it
matter
done.
whether you use an app, a screen,
Yeah.
whatever works for you, whatever works for your brain. Because if it works for your brain, then it's the path of least resistance. You're more likely to
We're
do
gonna
it
get it done. That's it.
rest at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that.
Mhm.
But also the stock market drives me nuts because that's just fucking made up, as is religion. So
Oh yeah, yep, yep, yep. Whole thing. Yep. Everything.
everything. Everything. Absolutely everything.
Oh, yes.
Not to take away the sentiment from your beautifully thing. But yeah, it's finding the path of least resistance to get to your end goal, the end result, the end expectation. Permission to do that, I think, creates so much more ease and capacity for
Mhm.
so many people.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful that you've landed in this space.
Yes.
Yay, you found your little niche and now you're flourishing in it, which is amazing to see.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels really nice. Now, I do feel like a very different person to what I was a couple of years ago.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. And not even necessarily that I have changed because obviously I've always had ADHD, but
mm,
yeah, just I think the viewpoint, my own thoughts on myself have changed
yeah. And I
substantially.
think when you stop trying to emulate other people and really start to pull apart what it is for you that you want,
Mm.
then because that motivation and that understanding is come from the foundation. But when you try and emulate people, you don't know why you were motivated because you don't know
Yeah,
why they were motivated because that's their story, right? But
yeah,
as soon as you've got your own pathway that you can find your own motivation on, then that creates the ebb and flow that still works for you, but you're not putting on a different personality every time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself is exhausting.
Yeah. Can't freaking work, man. Well, thank you very much for chatting with me today. I'm very happy to have this conversation. Thank
Ah,
you.
thank you so much.
No worries. And then we'll say bye for now.
See you. Bye.
Uh, If this episode has resonated with you, chances are it'll resonate with someone else too. Sharing the podcast is one of the best ways to help others who might be feeling stuck, unheard, or just needing a little nudge towards understanding themselves better. So if you found something useful here today, take a moment to share it. Send it to a friend, post it in a group, or even just screenshot it and pop it in your socials. Tag me so I can say thank you. If you haven't already, hit follow, leave a review, or rate the show. It makes a huge difference in getting this out to more people who need it. Your support means the world. Thank you for being here.